Goosebumps. Picture this. You're watching a horror movie. The room is dark. The music swells. And then goosebumps. Those tiny bumps marching up your arms like your skin just sent out a mass text saying, brace yourselves. What's happening is pure biology. Each hair on your body has a tiny muscle, the erector pili muscle, like a little rope pulling your hair up a flagpole. In furry animals, this trick is genius. Fluff up the fur, trap heat, look bigger to predators. Instant survival mode. For us humans, well, we don't exactly have enough body hair for that to matter. So goosebumps are a leftover reflex, like the appendix of skin reactions. When you're cold or feeling a surge of emotion, your body releases adrenaline. That hormone flips the on switch and boom, bumps. And here's a fun twist. Music can trigger the same response. That spine-tingling moment during your favorite song. Scientists call that frisson. Basically, your skin is fangirling right along with you. Creepy? Sure, but also kind of poetic. Hiccups. You're mid-soda sip, laughing at a bad joke, when, hic, your diaphragm throws a tantrum. Welcome to the weird world of hiccups. Here's the play-by-play. Your diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle under your lungs that helps you breathe, suddenly spasms. That spasm yanks air into your lungs, and then your vocal cords slam shut like a squeaky door. The result? That classic hic sound we all know. What sets them off? Pretty much anything. Eating too fast, gulping fizzy drinks, even rapid temperature changes in your stomach, like sipping hot soup and then chasing it with ice water. Basically, if your diaphragm or its nerves, the phrenic and vagus nerves, get irritated, the hiccup reflex wakes up. And here's the wild theory. Hiccups might be a leftover survival quirk from our amphibian ancestors. Tadpoles use a similar motion to gulp water for breathing. So, yeah, every hiccup is your inner tadpole saying hello. Annoying? Sure. But unless you're aiming to break Charles Osborne's record of 68 years of nonstop hiccups, you're probably fine. Photonic sneezing. You step outside into bright sunlight and, achoo, instant sneeze attack. No warning, no pollen, just pure light-triggered chaos. This oddity is called the photic sneeze reflex, or more dramatically, achoo syndrome, short for autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst. Translation? It runs in families. If your parent sneezed at the sun, odds are you will too. Scientists think it's a case of crossed wires. Your optic nerve, which handles vision, and your trigeminal nerve, the sneeze command center, sit close together in your brain. Bright light overstimulates your eyes, the signal spills over, and your brain thinks, nose irritation, sneeze now. Around 15 to 35% of people have this reflex. Totally harmless, though slightly awkward if you're, say, driving into the sunrise. Sunglasses or shading your eyes can help keep the sneezes at bay. Yawning. You know that moment. You're in a meeting, trying so hard to look engaged, and then, yawn. Wide open mouth, deep inhale, instant side-eye from your boss. Classic. Yawning is one of those universal reflexes, but here's the kicker. We still don't fully know why we do it. One leading theory? Brain cooling. That big gulp of air brings cooler air into your mouth and throat, which helps chill the blood flowing to your brain. Think of it as your brain cracking open a window for fresh air. Another idea is that yawning boosts alertness by stretching your lungs and waking up your cardiovascular system like a mini system reboot. And then there's contagious yawning. See someone yawn? Chances are you'll yawn too. Researchers think it's tied to empathy and mirror neurons. Basically, your brain is saying, hey, let's do that too. Even dogs and chimps catch yawns. So the next time you yawn during that boring lecture, just say, relax, I'm cooling my brain. Pins and needles. You've been sitting cross-legged for way too long when suddenly, zap. That weird prickly, tingly feeling, like a million tiny ants dancing under your skin. Yep, that's pins and needles. Scientifically, it's called paresthesia. Here's what's going on. When you put pressure on a limb, say by leaning on your arm or crossing your legs, you temporarily squish the nerves and blood vessels in that area. Think of it like kinking a garden hose. The nerve signals can't flow normally, so the limb goes numb. Then you shift, the pressure eases, and the nerves reboot. Signals flood back in a chaotic rush, which your brain translates as those sharp tingles and tiny zaps. Totally normal, totally harmless, at least when it's just from sitting funny. But it's your body's polite way of saying, hey, maybe move around a bit. Muscle twitching. Ever had your eyelids start twitching during a stressful week? Annoying, right? That little flutter is called a fasciculation, a fancy name for a harmless involuntary muscle twitch. These mini contractions can pop up anywhere: your eyelid, calf, even your arm. They often feel like a subtle flutter or tiny jerk under the skin. Up to 70% of people experience them at some point, especially when tired, stressed, or after chugging too much coffee. What's happening? Your motor nerves, the ones that tell your muscles to move, get a bit overexcited. Stress, caffeine, dehydration, or even a tough workout can make them fire off random signals, making the muscle fiber twitch. When it's just the occasional flutter, doctors call it benign fasciculation syndrome. Basically, your nerves are being a little extra. Most of the time, it's nothing to worry about. So if your eyelid is dancing mid-meeting, don't panic. It's just your body sending out a harmless, twitchy message. Skipped heartbeats. You're sitting there, minding your own business, when suddenly, thump. It feels like your heart just skipped a beat or gave an extra kick. Cue instant panic. But don't worry, what you're feeling is usually a premature contraction, either a PAC, premature atrial contraction, or a PVC, premature ventricular contraction. Here's the play-by-play. Your heart runs on a precise electrical system. But sometimes a rogue cell fires off early, causing the heart to contract slightly ahead of schedule. Because that early beat isn't fully loaded, the next beat hits harder. That's the thump you notice. Triggers? Stress, caffeine, nicotine, lack of sleep, or an intense workout can all spark these little rhythm hiccups. And here's the good news. In healthy people, they're harmless. So, the next time your chest flutters for a split second, think of it as your heart improvising a jazz solo. Surprising, but nothing to lose the beat over. Ear ringing. Ever sit in total silence and suddenly hear a faint, high-pitched ring? No, your house isn't haunted. That's tinnitus. Tinnitus is when you hear a sound like ringing, buzzing, hissing, or even clicking. But the sound isn't actually there. It's incredibly common. Up to 60 million Americans report experiencing it, and nearly everyone has felt a brief ringing after a loud concert. Here's the science. Inside your inner ear are tiny hair cells that send sound signals to your brain. When those cells get damaged, from loud noise, aging, or even earwax, the brain, ever the overachiever, tries to fill in the gaps. It's like your hearing system turning the volume up on static because it's missing part of the broadcast. For most people, tinnitus is harmless, just more noticeable in quiet rooms. White noise machines, hearing aids, or sound therapy can help if it becomes annoying. Think of it as your brain running its own slightly glitchy background soundtrack. Not dangerous, just persistent. Ticklishness. Try this. Wiggle your fingers and try to tickle your own ribs. Nothing, right? But if someone else does it, instant giggles and flailing? What gives? It's all about your brain's prediction game. When you move the parts of your brain that plan and control movement, send a copy of that movement plan to your sensory system, which handles touch, pressure, and other sensations. One key player here is the cerebellum, the movement coordinator at the back of your brain that keeps everything smooth and balanced. Because your brain knows exactly when and where you're about to touch yourself, it tones down the sensation. Result? No ticklish surprise, but when someone else tickles you, no prediction. Your brain is caught off guard and boom, that involuntary laugh jerk combo. Scientists think ticklishness evolved to protect vulnerable spots on the body. Until someone builds a tickle delay machine, though, self-tickling is officially impossible. Phantom ringing. You're half asleep, drifting off when buzz. You grab your phone, nothing. No text, no call. Just your brain playing tricks on you. This is phantom vibration syndrome. It's when you feel or even hear your phone go off, when it hasn't. Why does it happen? Blame your hyper-alert brain. We're so conditioned to expect pings and buzzes that even a random muscle twitch or the brush of fabric can be misread as an alert. It's like your brain has its notification volume cranked up to max, scanning for signals that aren't there. Research shows it's incredibly common. One study found nearly 90% of college students experience it. It's also more likely when you're anxious, sleep-deprived, or glued to your phone all day. The good news? It's harmless. Just your sensory system firing a false alarm. Think of it as your brain's overprotective friend, convinced you've missed something, even when you haven't. Restless leg syndrome. You're lying in bed, ready to drift off. And then it starts. That crawling, tingling, gotta move now feeling in your legs. Welcome to restless leg syndrome, or RLS. RLS is a sensory motor disorder. meaning it affects both your senses and your movement. The sensations can feel like itching, crawling, or even mild aching. And here's the frustrating part. The only relief is moving. Walking, stretching, even just shaking your legs. Anything to make it stop. Scientists aren't 100% sure what causes it, but they've got some good leads. One major suspect is dopamine, which helps the part of your brain that coordinates movement run smoothly. If dopamine levels are low or imbalanced, your legs start sending those "move me" signals. Low iron can also play a role, since iron helps dopamine do its job. RLS affects up to 10% of adults, and while it's harmless, it can wreck your sleep. Think of it as your nervous system hitting the shuffle button right when you're trying to hit pause. If you laughed, learned, or cringed at human biology today, hit subscribe for science.